What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Eurythmics, and we're returning to We Tour 1, 1989. Thank you again to Phil for providing the Eurythmics catalog, and someone asked recently if I'm going to be going through Peace, the album I believe they made when they got back together like a decade later. I definitely will do that, and I believe Phil has made Annie Lennox solo albums available. Hello, Luca. Are you jumping up or no? Well, we're all waiting. I'm not sure what she's doing. But yes, I wanted to again thank Phil for providing not only the Eurythmics catalog and many other bands' discographies, but specifically the solo Annie stuff, which I very much am looking forward to. And I have done a few reactions to solo Annie material. I think almost entirely, if not exclusively, some of her holiday songs. But yes, ultimately I'm keen to hear her solo stuff, regular albums as well. But yes, the next track on We Tour 1 is How Long. Now it's not shown with a question mark, at least in the file. Now I get it, like I think when you label files, question marks are one of the character types that you can't use, but even without the punctuation, it is essentially a questioning phrase, wondering about length or duration. And in that regard, of course, there are many possibilities. The idea of being unsure about how long a certain situation, dynamic, or feeling will persist, as well as how long a dog outside might howl. Nevertheless, I do wonder, in their larger situation at this point, if it could be autobiographical, how long can we keep this together? Either way, I feel like it's likely to relate to an unresolved situation, status, or emotion, and thus someone, whether it's questioning to the sky or to the heavens, or questioning themselves, how long can I endure this? How long will this make sense before it becomes less desirable than it used to be? So it feels like there's an unanswered question, to quote Charles Ives, and I suppose I'll see what I can do to figure out A, if that's even relevant, or B, what that dynamic feeling or situation is. Let's give it a listen. This is Eurythmics. The track is How Long, and it's from their 1989 album We Tour 1. Oh.
Don't consider what you feel. Your fancy town, it's black and white. It close their minds, they say wrong is right. How long will your love hold on to stay strong enough? How long will your love hold on to stay strong enough? and the pavement cracks where lovers steal, beg for time, and doctors sign on the dotted line. How long will your love stay strong enough? 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 How long will your love stay strong stay strong enough? How long will your
There's a lot going on in that tune, sonically and vocally. As with every previous tune in which we get layered Annie vocals, I especially enjoy the vocal density of the track and the expressive and powerful flourishes in the lead vocal line. And overall, the vocals, there's some moments where they sound not only soulful but almost gospel-like, which wouldn't be the first time we've heard that from Annie and the Eurythmics, but I definitely felt that here. And yet there were other elements which, a couple different keyboard lines, one that had a bit more of a synth sound, one that sounded like these, like proper organ chords that were more supportive. There was the guitar, strumming and grooving away, and it really stood out in a section in the latter half of the tune, but was, there giving a synth rock feel to a lot of the track. There were some string flourishes, I'm assuming string synths, but I don't know, it might have been actual strings, but yeah, so there was a bit of a symphonic or orchestral feel in at least small part. And I enjoy the visual scenes being painted, the wind coming down the road and the heat off the ground, and this town, which I think is being depicted in black and white in a conceptual way, but it sounds like there's a representation of the emotions at play interpersonally within this town, or maybe even the town is writ large what is being discussed emotionally in microcosm. And so the question of, how long will your love hold on? How much can it endure? And will this persist and, get us through whatever situation, whatever uncertainty or potential danger is at hand? It almost felt like there was maybe a statement about, the larger town or situation external to these people. Either way, it feels like there's a desire for persistence, but a lack of certainty or clarity as to whether that love will persist. So yeah, it feels like there's a speculative questioning, a wondering as to what the future will be relative to the history and the present all at the same time. And yes, just a really stylistically mixed sort of sound overall. And the instruments, again, felt like they were coming from some different stylings and angles. So it felt like, again, a very dense tune, vocally, sonically, and thematically / lyrically. Obviously, there might be some elements or specific themes or moments in the tune that I didn't pick up on a first listen. But yes, it feels like the tune is operating on multiple levels, which is well expressed in the dynamic sonics. And again, it felt a little bit electronic, it felt a little bit synth rock and guitar based, it felt a little bit gospel and soul sounding. Indeed, some of the guitars even had a bit of a bluesy feel, so it really had a number of colors to it, if you will. And again, Annie's voice in unison, meaning in the harmony moments and in the polyphonic moments, but especially in that lead vocal, as enjoyable as ever. So yes, I think in the moment as Luca does her "you can't end the video now because I'm being extra cute" routine, which I think is all a ploy. But yes, as she's doing that, I will comment that I think there's one more track on the album proper but I do think there's some extra tunes in the folder in a moment when I make the decision to disrupt this silly cat on my lap and her ruse. I will check, but yes, ultimately, as I said, I will be going through their like reunion album. I think there's some live album material, or there's some folders beyond just this one additional like official album in the Eurythmics umbrella folder. And as I said, there's an Annie folder as well, and indeed I think there's still the Tourist folder, which I didn't finish. I'm pretty sure there's some remaining tracks in that, so perhaps at some point we'll loop all the way back and go back to the very early days of Annie and Dave. And now I can strategically put Luca here. She looks like she was about to get a bit dangerous. Okay, so yeah, we do have one more, When the Day Goes Down, and then a couple bonus tracks, or a few bonus tracks. Precious, See No Evil, The King and Queen of America, but a dance remix, Angel, a choir version, and Last I Dreamt That Somebody Loved Me, another bonus tune. So yeah, we've got a few more to go in this folder, and then I suppose we'll jump ahead in time to Peace. But as I said, I think there's some folders in between the two albums that are like live reunion performances they did and whatnot, so we'll look into that. In fact, do I have the folder open? I don't, unfortunate. Well, as I said, I want to give a big shout out again to not only Phil for sharing the catalog, but Mark and others who've commented over the course of the Eurythmics journey. And as I said, there's still much more to go, as well as Annie solo, as well as the remaining Tourist stuff. So we'll be here for a while. I hope you're not going anywhere. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.